Welcome to the Slow Living Podcast. If you are ready to ditch hustle culture for good while continuing to meet your personal and professional goals, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Day, and I work with overachievers from all over the world who are ready to stop living life in triage mode and start living the life of their dreams, one filled with abundance, joy, and a sense of purpose. Life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. Let's get started. Hey there, Slow Down Society. Steph here, and we are in another episode of the Slow Living Podcast. This is episode number 238. And this is something that people write to me about and ask, and it's all about slow travel. So I guess slow travel, maybe it's making the news, maybe it's making headlines, maybe people are searching for it, maybe all of the above. And it's interesting because I don't know, when I started the podcast and started writing about slow living, I wasn't necessarily interested in talking or learning or researching about things that would be SEO friendly, so search engine optimization friendly, or doing things that were trendy or might sell items or merch or magazine articles that people would write about. But I guess slow living and slow aesthetics and a slow home and peaceful living and that type of things have all kind of morphed together. And I think it's the idea that less is more and a bit of the minimalistic approach to life, but not necessarily with everything basic, white walls and Scandinavian low to the ground furniture, like minimal in that way. So I think it's probably has morphed into kind of an aesthetic that people are wanting that probably seems very like Joanna Gainsey, where you might have kind of a farmhouse vibe and simple roots and simple living in that way, but in a way that costs money to live that way. So I think if you're looking at very plush furniture and couches, and that's the focal piece in your room with white walls and minimalistic decor, um, I've always been drawn to simplicity because I'm naturally frugal and I don't necessarily really care what things look like. I want them to be functional for me and my family. And slow travel is exactly that. For me and my family, this is how we just enjoy life. I don't like being rushed. I don't like feeling frantic or feeling like I have to do things at a certain schedule and at a certain pace. And if I don't achieve that, I'm wrong or I've made a mistake. I don't like that feeling. It causes anxiety in my body. So for me, slow living is very intentional and purposeful. And that translates into travel as well. And that's what we'll talk about today. So it kind of sounds a little dreamy and maybe a bit out of reach. And it might seem like if you had all the time and all the money in the world, of course you could slow travel. You could sign up for one of those 100 grand a year cruises around the world and take your time and spend time in ports. And it may seem like it's luxury. But I want you to please know that I am not a luxurious person. I'm just Steph. I'm the same exact person I was when I started this podcast and when I started the Crockpot site. I put my family first, and I am naturally frugal, and I'm always saving for a rainy day, and I'm always kind of zooming out and looking at things like, well, how will this benefit me in my later years, in my 70s, 80s, 90s. It's funny, I used to say in my 40s, 50s, 60s, but now I'm approaching 50. So, but when I started the Crockpot site, I was 32. So I was always thinking like, well, what will it be like when I'm 45? And so anyway, That's what I want you to think of. And slow travel isn't about checking things off a list. It isn't about capturing photos to put on Instagram. It's doing things that feed you, your soul, your body, your energy, your interests, and if you're traveling with other people, your family. So slow travel is not what you see on Instagram or TikTok. It's not 12 cities in 10 days. It's not the I now need a vacation to recover from my vacation kind of travel or vibe. But this is travel that actually feels good in your body and travel that lets you breathe and travel that gives you something back instead of draining you. And the best part, you do not need a huge budget or a passport full of stamps or 3 weeks off of work to do this. Slow travel is really just an extension of slow living. And it's about how you choose to experience the time that you're already spending. Okay, so let's start here. Let's define what slow travel is. And at its core, slow travel means staying longer in fewer places if you're able to. When I had little kids, I told Adam 1 or 2 nights anywhere is not enough for me. I need at least 3 nights because the first night, wherever we go, especially if we're traveling with a toddler or preschooler or really any age kid, um, I don't sleep that first night, and neither do my kids. So I'm up that whole first night, calming people down, rereading the same story, making sure the noisemaker is on the correct level, figuring out the night lights. So that first night is never relaxing and never enough. So early on in our parenting career, I sort of made up a rule like 1 or 2 days is not enough. I need at least 3 nights. So by the last night, hopefully I actually get some sleep. Um, it's letting go of rigid schedules. It's not, we're meeting at 8 a.m. for breakfast, no matter what. Eh, maybe, maybe not. Maybe again, we had a really late night and breakfast is going to be yogurt that we packed and it's in the little mini fridge in the hotel and we're going to eat it right here. Um, who knows? Um, I also would like for you to, when you're looking at slow travel, to experience instead of consume. So, since I was a food blogger for such a long time, I spent time with other food bloggers going to these foodie type meccas. And I vividly remember being in Portland and um, one of the other bloggers, we were sharing a room, and she had this itinerary of we had to go have coffee here, and then we had to have a scone here, and then we had to have this and that. And I said, yeah, but you're walking past Pike's Place. You're gonna miss this or that. But she was so focused on her list and checking it off, and so that's when I say consuming versus experiencing. I wanted to walk around. If I want to sit on a bench and watch a squirrel for 10 minutes just because I want to have that um, wiggle room in my schedule and my itinerary. And I also the last thing that I've listed for like if you were going to define slow travel, it's prioritizing presence over productivity. Um, I don't want you to collect things so then when you get back to work, you can tell your coworkers, oh, I did this and this and this and this. Instead, I want you to feel recharged and revitalized and feel like you experienced going into this particular cathedral and you spent some time smelling the different smells and really studying the statues rather than walking in and out and checking it off a list. So be present and aware. I brought up a cathedral, but one of my favorite things when I travel is to go in to old churches and cathedrals and just sit in a pew and imagine the people who have been there before and look up at the stained glass and think about like, wow, how long did it actually take for them put it together, how many other people have sat exactly where I'm sitting, how many weddings, how many funerals, how many christenings, and just really kind of think and be awash in that rather than, okay, now on to the next thing and that sort of thing. It's really less about checking things off and more about being where you are right here. Where are your feet? Right here. Look down at your feet. If you scroll through the O'Day photo albums, so many of our photos are the five of us all in a huddle, and we've taken a picture of our feet. Like here we are on the sands of Pismo Beach. Here we are on the sands of this and that, and here we are in downtown Houston on a sidewalk, and here's all of our feet. So just being silly and whimsical and having fun. Um, and it's different for everybody, but I want you to really try and just incorporate how you want to feel even when you're traveling. So on that daily journaling worksheet, the first thing I say and the first question to ask yourself every day on that worksheet is, how do you want to feel today? Well, let's say you're in Milan. Do you want to feel rushed in Milan? Or do you want to enjoy it and have a baguette and something tasty and stroll and look around and really feel calm and at peace and present? So maybe this means you might rent a small place for a few days or up to a week. And maybe instead of spending money eating out, you decide to eat like a local and find the grocery store, the corner shop, and make some food. Um, Maybe you want to find the neighborhood coffee shop and decide this is the best coffee and I like it so much, I'm just going to come here again tomorrow and the next day, rather than thinking you could top it or find something even better, but just enjoying the here and the now. Maybe you decide to walk wherever you're going, or take public transportation instead of always getting in an Uber. And maybe you schedule in an afternoon nap, a siesta, just because you're on vacation. And why not? I don't want you to think that you're wasting time resting and recharging your body. Because that's not what vacation's all about. The whole point is to slow down, simply look only within, and enjoy yourself. Back to the rented place. Um, Obviously, it is so much easier now than it used to be with Airbnb and VRBO and timeshare swaps and all of these different things. For our family, because we have celiac, we've always tried to find hotels or houses or condos where we could cook our own food. And I have a whole system. And usually the first thing I do is I wash everything. If there's a dishwasher, I run everything through the dishwasher, just because I don't trust former house guests or the housekeeping or maid service to have cleaned the forks, and the bowls and the glasses the way I, one, because I'm majorly type A OCD, and I know this about myself, and I'm okay with it. I just am grossed out by other people's uh, mouths on things, and for any sort of gluten crumbs, I clean things, so then I know that it's safe. But because of that, we often travel with a suitcase filled with cooking supplies, parchment paper, our own foil, um, Clorox wipes to wipe things down. So I'm already in a different mindset that this is my home, this is my place, and I'm going to make it just so to serve me and the needs of my family versus what can people do for me? How can I call downstairs and have them fix this or that? I try and have the idea that this is my home, this is my space, and I'm going to make it as comfortable as I possibly can.
Coaching with staff has taught me to see the boundary between what is my responsibility and what belongs to others, and to see that the things in my control are my responses and my decisions. I am not in control of others, their perceptions, and what they think or feel. These lessons have proven to have lightened my mental load, and I love that I can continue to practice these lessons as I move through life. Steph's voice is one in my head that I don't feel the need to evict. Give Steph a chance. You'll appreciate your time with her.
And then also deciding to cook has us going to a grocery store. And some of our best family memories are walking up and down the aisles of grocery stores in new towns and seeing what they have. Oh my gosh, they stock this pasta that's gluten-free, or oh, they have this that's frozen that's gluten-free. And obviously, depending on your dietary needs, it might be different. But I've got friends who are vegan who choose to cook at home or when they travel, choose to cook back in their rented space. And you, of course, do you, but that immediately slows everything down. Okay, so that's slow travel. What is fast travel, and why does fast travel leave you exhausted? And and just because fast is the opposite of slow, I'm calling it that. But really, it's kind of traditional travel. And I see it especially in my day job as a secretary. I've got kids who come back from school after getting off a plane uh, from halfway across the world. I'll have kids come back. Well, we just landed at 6 a.m. from Singapore, so he might be a little jet lagged. Oh, you think? Yes, your 8-year-old is jet lagged if you just got off a plane uh, in the early hours of the morning and you're bringing them to school. And I get it, especially if you're living in America and you only have 2 weeks vacation and you want to fill it as much as humanly possible with things. Um, but it leaves you exhausted. So we could call it fast travel or we could call it traditional, the norm. At least in my area, this is how most people travel, and it ends up feeling exhausted. And if you've ever come home from a trip and thought, gosh, I just need a few days to recover, please know you're not alone because fast travel happens all over the place and it tends to look like early flights and packed itineraries, constant decision making, um, eating on the go, maybe not food that fuels your body, but food that kind of fills the hump and isn't thoughtfully planned. Um, Fast travel or traditional travel also is trying to make the most of every minute. And when that happens, your nervous system doesn't settle and you're constantly in go mode. You're taxing your adrenals. You're chasing dopamine fix. You're over caffeinating or over alcoholing. And it's just not good for your brain and your body. And the interesting thing is, that's the same pattern most of us already do in our daily life, and you're doing it again on vacation. So you're trying to escape the daily life by doing the exact same thing on the 2 week vacation or whatever it is you've planned. So if you leave your busy life only to recreate that same busyness somewhere else, it's kind of a recipe for burnout and overwhelm and decision fatigue. And slow travel and the slow living lifestyle breaks this cycle. So, slow living, simply look only within. Slow travel asks the same question each time. What do I want from this experience? Not what the travel blogs say, not what your neighbor or coworker tells you to do, and not what you think you quote unquote should do or have to do, but what feels meaningful to you. One of my favorite kind of marriage memories is we were in a rented house in Santa Cruz and I was exhausted. And I hear the kids in the kitchen and Adam, and they're making lunch. And it was kind of a rainy day, and they were a bit bored, and they were going to play a game. And I heard one of my daughters ask Adam, "Well, why is mom always sleeping? Why is she sleeping on vacation? She's just wasting it. And Adam said, so different people do different things on vacation. And one of your mom's favorite things to do is to take a nice nap and recharge. And I just loved how he explained that, had my back, and stuck up for me for our kids without me being around and without him thinking I was listening. But I could hear because the walls were paper thin. And where this particular house was set up is they had added on a master bedroom right off the kitchen, which is a very weird setup. But yeah, so do the things that feel meaningful to you. And maybe that is sitting by the water with a book or visiting one museum and taking your time instead of cramming in five. Maybe it's taking a nap in the afternoon. Maybe it's cooking a simple meal that you know you love and your family loves instead of eating out. Slow travel gives you permission to trust yourself. Okay, so how does this work in the real world? Let's make this really practical because you don't need to overhaul your entire life to try this. There's some very easy ways to dip your toe into slow travel. First off, stay closer to home. You don't need to go far to disconnect from your day-to-day life. A town 30 to 60 minutes away can feel completely different when you stay overnight because you're not commuting, you're experiencing. We live in the San Francisco Bay Area. Uh, Half Moon Bay is a beautiful coastal town. It's only 30 minutes away. But Adam and I have gone and spent the night there and just explored in a different way. We also ended up getting massages at a spa the next day, which was lovely. But these little sort of, maybe you can even call it a staycation, where you're just going as a way to recharge your batteries. It's just lovely. Maybe slow travel to you means you book fewer activities. And instead of planning out every hour or every couple of hours, you have one anchor activity per day. And that's it. Anything else that happens is optional and kind of sprinkles. So like icing on a cake, but maybe in this situation, it's the little sprinkles. So little things like that. And one of the last trips, we had a family vacation to Hawaii. One of our favorite things is we had the afternoon off. So the kids and Adam and I, we went and we stood in line for shaved ice. And we had our shaved ice and we had nothing. We had like, I think we had dinner reservations 4 hours later. So we just meandered and we sat on a bench and it just, there was nothing we needed to do except to really cherish and enjoy this shaved ice, which was a phenomenal shaved ice. It had, oh, I think it had like condensed milk on top and a base of ice cream and coconut shavings and flavored whipped cream. Like it was a massive, probably $1,200, 1,200 calorie shaved ice experience, but it was pretty amazeballs. But when that happens, you're building in white space and you can decide to literally block that out on your calendar of there's nothing we need to do right now except to just be and put it in your calendar, put it in your itinerary if you need to. Quote, free time, wander time, vegging out on the beach with a book time, do nothing time. Another great way to slow travel is to shop and eat like a local. Visit a grocery store. I told you earlier, we love exploring grocery stores. A farmer's market, maybe a small neighborhood cafe somewhere off the beaten path. It's not where the locals go, but I mean, it's not where the tourists go, it's where the locals go. And there's something really grounding about doing ordinary things in a new place. I know my parents, when they travel, they've done this in Europe and they've done this in other cities, is they find a local laundromat and wash all their clothes and they can't leave. So they've got 2 to 3 hours where they're hanging out and just experiencing life. And there's just something really grounding and peaceful about that. When you slow travel, I would like, if you can, if your body allows you, to walk instead of drive, hike instead of taking a train or transportation, because walking slows you down automatically, and you notice things, and you smell things, and you can overhear conversations, and you become part of the environment instead of simply passing through it. One of the great things about slow travel is if you decide on purpose, you can repeat. If you find a coffee house or a restaurant that serves you well, go again. Maybe go to the same park again and or the same beach. There's something so comforting about familiarity, even when you're traveling. Um, Noticing things like, oh, so and so, they had that waiter in this section, but today he's over there. That's just kind of neat. Okay. So what are the mental shifts you need to do when it comes to embracing slow travel? Um, it's less about logistics and it's more about a mindset. So here are a few gentle shifts that you can do. Change your mindset from I paid for this and I need to maximize it to I'm here to experience this. I'm here to take this all in. I'm going to take some deep breaths right now and realize I am so lucky. I am so fortunate to be here right now with my family, or I'm so fortunate to be here right now all by myself. There's no other place I need to be. There's no email I need to check. There's no phone call I need to return. I am right here, right now, and that is amazing. I want you to also shift the mindset from, well, what's next? What are we doing next? To, how can I maximize right here and right now? What is happening right now? How can I enjoy it a little bit more fully? If you're in a coffee house, maybe you're breathing in as deep as you can and smelling the different coffee notes. Maybe it's listening to the conversation happening at the table next to you, um, and just really cherishing the here and the now. I want you to also decide you can come back. So if you're going to New York, maybe you have the mindset of, I should see everything. I've got 3 days in New York. I'm going to see it all. Eh, you see what you see, but have the mindset of, it's going to be okay. I'm not dead yet. I can come back. And maybe the most important of all is instead of, I need to document this. I need to make sure we get a picture in front of this. And I need to make sure that we go here so then I can take a picture of it. I want you instead to remember how it feels. Pictures are great. Pictures are wonderful and magical. And yes, see if you can take them, but don't pressure. If your kids are crying, if they're not feeling it, let it go. Just let it go. Okay, slow travel doesn't look perfect. Maybe your photos are a little blurry. Maybe you're not all posed in the way you wanted. Maybe you didn't color coordinate the beach photo shoot and you just look like normal people. And that's okay because slow travel is not picture perfect. And so maybe it feels off at first and you might be a little restless. You might actually think, shouldn't we be doing more? And that's normal because you're unwinding years and perhaps decades of conditioning that tells you that busy equals valuable. But if you stay with it, something shifts and you exhale and you settle and you start to enjoy the in between moments. So let me know if this idea speaks to you. What do you think? What's the next step? Maybe instead of flying, you're going to drive and take your time getting to wherever it is you want to go. Maybe instead of booking um, motels or hotels along the way. You decide to stay for a few days, and maybe you're picking a hotel that has a kitchen, like a Residence Inn, or maybe you're booking Airbnbs. Who knows? Maybe you camp. Gosh, camping is the epitome of slow travel. You've got all the time in the world. You don't need to change everything. Just start small. But maybe your next outing or your next weekend or your next vacation, you simply do a little less and notice how that feels. See if you feel refreshed. Because the goal isn't to see more, the goal is to feel more. So, as always, consider yourself loved and hugged. I think you're amazing and lovely and wonderful and kind. And I am so grateful to have you and to be able to connect with you in this way. Consider yourself big hugged. I'll be back in your earbuds next week. If you are ready to start living slowly and ditch the hustle mindset for good, reach out to me. I'm a real person and you can track me down online at stephanieoday.com. Also, if you found value in this podcast, please share it with your family and friends and tag me on Instagram at Stephanie O'Day. While you're at it, go ahead and leave a positive review on your favorite podcast app. The more we share, the more people we can reach and share the slow down lifestyle and messaging. Thank you, Slow Down Society, and have a great day.